Shalom, shalom. First and foremost, all praises and the blessing is due to Yahweh by Shem HaMashiach with Malak Yahushai. Secondly, this is Brother Yardan, WFI Detroit, coming back at you with the end of the cold cut. Before I begin, I want to give another mighty shalom salute to you brothers and sisters that are out there laboring day in and day out throughout the week, praying, fasting, studying, making sure your house is in order before the Most High God in these last days. With that, I want to transition to the topic of the video, which will be 3 reasons why you should not vote. Now, this video is particularly for those who may be new into this truth. Now, the overall message, of course, is that we must repent before the Most High returns. But that message in itself isn't directed towards anybody, but chiefly the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, because we are the true people of God, the children of Israel, according to the Bible. You may be wondering, well, how do we know? Well, Deuteronomy, the 20th chapter, is a beautiful start, because in that chapter will unfold curses. And more specifically, these curses are directed towards a certain group of people. And as you read, you'll find out that if it's no other people upon God's green earth, but the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. And remembering that Moses wrote these things unto his people, which would be the Israelites, that'll make us the Israelites. So without further ado, we're going to dive right into it. We're going to begin with the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 17, verse 15. This will be the introduction precepts. Thou shalt in any wise set him king over thee. Outside of verse 14. When thou art come unto the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee, and shalt possess it, and shalt dwell therein, and shalt say, I will set a king over me, like all the nations that are about me, thou shalt in any wise set him king over thee, whom the Lord thy God shall choose. The same way the Most High chose Saul and David. One from among thy brethren shalt thou set king over thee. Thou mayest not set a stranger over thee, which is not thy brother, meaning no heathen shall be set over you. No matter where you go, no heathen at all, at any point in time, shall be ruling over you. That's why you had David, Jeroboam, Rehoboam. Those were all men of Israel. So in America, Babylon the Great, you have the candidates Donald J. Trump, Kamala Harris, and RFJ, I believe, Jr., all of whom are heathen. Esau, Elam, or whatever the hell Kamala is, she's definitely a heathen and she's not making it, right? She might be Esau or Elam. Frankly, I couldn't give a damn. One thing's for sure, 2 things for certain, that's a heathen. So that's Deuteronomy 17, verse 15. And I also want to mention, I have some things pulled up as well, that they're master manipulators. These politicians, these lawyers, because typically before you're president, you're a senator, if I'm not mistaken, and before that, you're a lawyer. And lawyers are known for their double talk and their crafty tongue, which is obviously to be frowned upon. Why are you utilizing a crafty tongue, persuading people? That's wicked behavior. So let's pull it up. We'll be looking on the right side of this page, and I'll highlight it. Senators, Slovakia. Good gravy. Senators were, for centuries, strictly for the partisan class. They practiced the skills of rhetoric and oratory to persuade other members of the ruling body. The Senate convened and passed laws, and the Curia, a large building on the grounds of the Roman Forum. Much later, Julius Caesar built a larger Curia for the expanded Senate. Sounds very similar today. and how they pass laws and vote yay or nay. So there's nothing new under the sun. And as I mentioned before, a lot of these senators eventually end up running for president, and they're known for their persuasion and their crafty talk. That's why they can never answer a straightforward question. That's just what you call a forked tongue. That's what my grandfather calls wicked men. He calls them forked tongue devils. That's exactly what he calls them. So let's pull out another precept, Book of Psalms, chapter 40, verse 3. Instead of verse 1, deliver me, O Lord, from the evil man. Preserve me from the violent man. And that's Esau. He is the violent man. And for those who may not know, Esau is the so-called white man, pursuing to Genesis 25 and 25 on down, which imagine mischief in their hearts continually. They are gathered together for war. America is known for one thing, and that's their military might. And they love gathering together for war, even within their own country. They go to war with the so-called blacks. They have sharpened their tongues like a serpent. Adder's poison is under their lips, Salah. So David is eloquently stating that they're so crafty, they're as if they have a tongue of a serpent. And if you see a serpent's tongue move, it's very quick. And they also have poison under their lips. And that poison is obviously manipulation and lies and deceit. Verse 4, keep me, O Lord, from the hands of the wicked. Preserve me from the violent man who have proposed to overthrow my goings. That's exactly what these presidents do. They overthrow our goings. They tax the hell out of us and just continue to do us nothing but hurt and harm. In fact, I'm going to pull it up where you had Kamala Harris or Kamala. She stated that they give us crack pipes. I believe it was Joe Biden. They're in the same accord. And there's really no justification or reason. That's just poor taste. Uproar over crack pipes puts Biden drug strategy at risk. So they have their think tanks. Biden has counselors. The same way when you read in 2 Samuel and Kings, a king and or a ruler or a prince, they have their counselors. They have their think tank. They have their PR team, and they discuss and exchange ideas and how to persuade the men. Even Absalom had ideas on how to steal the hearts of the children of Israel. And so it is with President Biden, literally attempting to steal the hearts of Israel by putting out crack pipes. And this is the man that you voted for. You so-called blacks, you voted for him. What do you have to say for yourself? He didn't mean it. It's not what you think. I don't know. No, he said it. He said it. See that? As soon as when you look it up, you see Jake. So that's the man that you set over yourself. That's your ruler. And what's ironic is his son, he's known for being on that pipe. He's known for it. They found it in the White House. Pull that up. Or was it weed? No, it was cocaine. It's cocaine found in the White House. And that was his son. That was Sonny. That was Biden Jr. So this man, he's just a fool. But if you voted for him, hey, that's on you. That's all on you. This is Psalms chapter 58, verse 4. Let me begin at verse 2. Yea, in heart ye work wickedness. Yea, weigh the violence of your hands in the earth. Damn, I'm gonna read that again. This perfectly describes Esau. Yea, in the heart It's like in heart ye work wickedness. Ye weigh the violence of your hands in the earth. The wicked are estranged from the womb. They go astray as soon as they be born, speaking lies. How many lies have politicians told you throughout the years? As long as you've been alive, how many lies have they told you? And what change have you seen? If you can count the change upon your hand, then all praises. Put in the comments below, hey, well, I know what they did. Show us. I would love to see. Being a ruler in a land of Babylon the Great for 4 years, if you can't list 10 things that they've done for you, then you're a dummy.
What do you think of Barack Obama being president?
But Barack Obama is a joke. Barack Obama didn't do a darn thing for black folk. As a matter of fact, he hurt black folk in 2 ways. First of all, he had 8 years to do something for black folk, but he carefully and judiciously and judiciously avoided doing anything for black folk. And most of my white friends told me in politics, and I was always with president governors, they say, hell, we would never have voted for Obama if we known he's going to do something for black folk. We knew he would never do anything for black folk. And so, but that's the first thing. He never did anything for black folk. But he used that old thing that they did back in Philadelphia in 1789. He used very broad, ambiguous terms. I'm the president of all the people.
They like to say a rising tide lifts all boats.
That's a stupid thing.
Yeah, because black people boat got a hole in it.
That's right. It's in the bottom of the dam, right?
Yeah.
You're a fool. You're a house of Belial. Verse 4. Their poison is like the poison of a serpent. They are like the deaf adder that stopped her ear. And so it's saying what we read earlier in Psalm chapter 140, verse 3. Very similar. Which will not hearken to the voice of charmers, charming never so wisely. See that? They're never for your turn, and neither will they care to hear your voice. They're literally for their own gain and advantages. Book of Job, which is why you can watch the interviews, watch these interviews and hear how they respond to people. I don't want anybody over me, not that I would ever vote. I don't want anybody over me that can't give me a plain answer.
Continue to move until we get the total ban on the total initiative relative to what we're going to do with more border patrol and more asylum officers.
President Trump?
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either. Look.
Plain answer. Good God, that's terrible. This is the man I put my trust in. I put my trust in a man that can't give a proper yea or nay. Yahweh said, let your yea be yea, and your nay be nay. And yet these men, they can't do it. They fail to do it. Job chapter 15, verse 5. For thy mouth uttereth thine iniquity, and thou choosest the tongue of the crafty. Thine own mouth condemneth thee, and not I. Yea, thine own lips testify against thee. And you will see eventually how these presidents fall upon their own tongue. One moment, they want the best for you. They want health care. And the next moment, they're bombing little children. Just bombing them. Go ask Obama how many people he bombed. Ask him. And let's look it up. And I think they asked him this, and he didn't say too much. Map shows where President Barack Obama drops his 20,000 bombs. And you liberals, you're the worst of all, to be honest. Your ideals are the worst of all. At least with Republicans, we have somewhat similarities, such as the right to bear arms, no abortions, and believing in the Bible. But oh my goodness, speaking of which, I'll get to Kamala later. But as for now, incoming U.S. President Donald Trump has said we'll wage war on ISIS, we'll bomb the ish out of them. See, that's war in his heart. Obama, Trump, let's believe Kamala would do the same thing if she were to be elected president. So these are all the cities and lands that Obama bombed. If you still got Obama in your house with the nasty ass hope for change, tear it down. Tear that musty ass poster down. I lost my train of thought. I was gonna pick in his nose. I lost my train of thought. I was gonna bring out something about Kamala. I can't remember. We're gonna dive. We're gonna continue on. If I can remember it, I'll bring it out. But I'll bring this last thing out for number one of why you shouldn't be voting for these presidents. This is 21 types of political spin you should know. This is the nationalpress.org. And so the political spin, Salakia, see if I can pull it up. No, it won't do it. Salam. I'm going to pick up where we left off, which was 21 types of political spin you should know about. Now, these methods are devices that a lot of politicians use to okey doke the people, to change the narrative. I'm going to read just a few, not all of them, but just a few, beginning with the leak, releasing information only to favorite journalists or about a particular issue. Right, that happens a lot. You got a lot of scandals just to defame another person's name. You got the freeze, punishing journalists for negative reporting. Trump was famous for it, the banning journalists from press conferences. Fisher said, but many other presidents froze journalists more subtly. And typically in journalists, if I'm not mistaken, they're supposed to be the voice of reason, the speaker for the people, because they have that ability in that position to ask the hard questions, which is why if you've seen press conferences, they ask those hard questions that the president or whoever the representative is for them can't really answer. So they gotta just ban them and say that was a dumb question. I've heard Trump say that was nasty. You know how these politicians get down. You got pivoting. They do it all the time. They're in an interview. They don't like the question they've been asked, so they pivot the discussion in other direction so they can talk about the thing they want to talk about and stay on comfortable ground. They get training in how to be masterful at it. We read it earlier, right? A lot of politicians do that. They learn that. They go to school for this. They have PR. They have training. Now, Kamala, she just so happens to be a bad politician because she fails to really execute these things. She's too fake. You understand? Trump, again, I'm not voting for him. Neither am I endorsing him. He's going into slavery, but he has a better image in the public eye for his honesty in regards to, being blunt with people. And people like honesty, You got dog whistling, dishing the dirt, smear campaigns waged by giving journalists negative information about one's opponent. These can come from inside or outside of the party. And it reminds me a lot of the commercials that you may see where it says, don't vote for Jonathan McDonald because he wants to cut wages on whatever, right? And then it ends with, I approve this message. So these politicians, they hate each other. They utilize a lot of nasty, crafty methods to get their way. In fact, there's a old TV show. The title was The House of Cards. It was actually really good. It was deep. And I believe that it was actually a show to reveal what happens behind closed doors. It was very, very lifelike, very real. So back to the scriptures. Psalm chapter 140, verse 3. They have sharpened their tongues like a serpent. Adder's poison is under their lips. Salah. Keep me, O Lord, from the hands of the wicked. Preserve me from the violent man. who have proposed to overthrow my goings, as plain upon tables. Job chapter 15, verse 5. For thy mouth uttereth thine iniquity, and thou choosest the tongue of the crafty. Thine own mouth condemn thee, and not I. Yea, thine own lips testify against thee. Similar, if you're familiar with a little bit of political history, you had, I believe it was Nixon stating, "I am not a crook." He said, "I am not a crook," and he had to resign. Then you had Obama stating, he said something along the lines of, "You want your health care, keep it," and it had to be some type of drastic change. They're all liars. Why would we trust the liars? So transitioning to number 2, why you should not be voting. It's because we're waiting on the Lord to deliver us. This is Psalms chapter 146, verse 3. It's like it's Psalms 146, verse 3. Put not your trust in princes, nor in the Son of Man, in whom there is no hope. His breath goeth forth, he returneth to his earth. In that very day, his thoughts perish. So all their thoughts, their plans, their actions, the things that they sign in office, I mean, that's all for naught. That's all for show. We know who runs the scene behind a play. The directors is the small hats, is the Illuminati. Psalm chapter 20, verse 7. And it reads, taking a while to load, that's Satan. I'll pull it up on my end. Okay, Psalms 20 and 7. Some trust in chariots and some in horses, but we will remember the name of the Lord our God. Of course, we will always remember the name of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai when it comes to being delivered. In fact, let me bring out this one account in Isaiah. Because even in time past, because there's nothing new under the sun, in time past, Israel has sought for the help of the heathen to deliver them. And we know how that ended. It's Isaiah chapter 30, verse 1. And in this account, this is Israel literally seeking help from Egypt, the same way that you American blacks, so-called, is seeking help from Babylon, Egypt, which is, a new Egypt, if you will. That's all America is. It's a new, modernized Egypt. It goes by many names, such as Babylon, um, ancient Greece, Egypt. Read in verse 1. Woe to the rebellious children, said the Lord, that take counsel, but not of me, and that say with a covering, but not of my spirit, that they may add sin to sin, that walk to go down into Egypt, and have not asked at my mouth, to strengthen themselves in the strength of Pharaoh, and to trust in the shadow of Egypt. And these presidents, they're modern day pharaohs, and we actually put our trust in them. People wear the shirts, they go in and vote for them, they spread awareness. You can't tell me that they're not putting their trust in them. They're showing it by their actions. We show by our actions that we trust in the Lord by wearing our fringes, keeping the feast days, by praying and fasting. Hey, they go twice as hard for their Pharaoh. They post it nonstop. They get the little picket sign and put on their front yard. They get the sticker, put on the back of their car. They post about it on Facebook, on Twitter, on TikTok. They spread all the information they can. They defend them. In fact, the YouTube channel Jubilee has like 20 or 50 Republicans versus 50 Democrats. And they're going hard for their Pharaoh, which is shameful. Verse 3, therefore shall the strength of Pharaoh be your shame, and the trust in the shadow of Egypt your confusion. There you have it. It's going to be to your confusion, trusting in these politicians. And Boondocks even did an episode where they was expecting Obama to do so much, and then they realized, damn, he's not for us. They're confounded, confused. Let's get this book of Lamentations, chapter 4, verse 17. This account, or this chapter and precept, really, really paints the image of being in America, Babylon, if you have ears to hear. As for us, as for us, our eyes as yet failed for our vain help. In our watching, we have watched for a nation that could not save us. They hunt our steps that we cannot go into our streets. Our end is near, our days are fulfilled, for our end is come. Our persecutors are swifter than the eagles of the heaven. They pursued us upon the mountain. They laid wait for us in the wilderness. That sounds like Esau, right? Terrified, or Israel being terrified to even go in the streets or in the suburbs, knowing you're going to be harassed and or gunned down, possibly lynched. The breath of our nostrils, the anointed of the Lord, was taken in their pits, of whom we said, under his shadow we will live among the heathen. Rejoice and be glad, O daughter of Edom. For those who don't know, again, Edom is the nation of the so-called white man that dwellest in the land of Uz. The cup also shall pass through unto thee. Thou shalt be drunken, and shalt make thyself naked. The punishment of thine iniquity is accomplished, O daughters of Zion. He will no more carry thee away into captivity. He will visit thine iniquity, O daughter of Edom. He will discover thy sins. And as time proceeds, more sins of America will be discovered, even behind the scene of the political background or the political stage. Because unfortunately, millions of so-called blacks, although some are slowly waking up and realizing it's all a scam, still, nevertheless, millions of so-called blacks still believe in this system. And our Lord is going to do a great wonder in the land where he reveals and brings it to naught. So with that, we'll bring out the last point, which is there was never any change. And they don't support Israel, right? There's no change when a president comes into office. That's why there's still inflation. Inflation's been going on for years. The housing market is ass. The job market is terrible. I mean, the wages can't really meet your ways of living. Nothing has been changing. And neither does anybody support the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans when they're sworn into office. The Sodomites, they received their documentation, their stamp of having some sort of support. Even in Asians, even in Indians, everybody but us, which is shameful. It's nothing new under the sun, though. They're always for our hurt, and we're going to prove that with Luke chapter 2, verse 1. Luke chapter 2, verse 1. Famous account. For as much as many have taken in the hand to set forth in order, so like it is, chapter 1, verse 1. We'll let this load. Chapter 2, verse 1. And it came to pass in those days that there went out a decree from Caesar Augustus that all the world should be taxed. That's not referring to Japan and America, but the world of Israel. And this taxing was first made when Cyrenius was governor of Syria. And all went to be taxed, everyone into his own city. And so they taxed the hell out of us, the same way they do now. Nothing new under the sun. 2 Maccabees chapter 12, verse 1. When these covenants were made, Lysias went unto the king, and the Jews were about their husbandry. But the governors of several places, Timotheus, Apollonius, the son of Genus, also Hieronymus, and Demophon, and besides them Nicanor, that governor of Cyprus, would not suffer them to be quiet and live in peace. See how nothing's changed even during this time period unto the But Galuk, these governors were always against us. And we're going to read what they did towards us. Then the men of Job also did such an ungodly deed, then prayed the Jews that dwelt among them to go with their wives and their children into the boat which they had prepared, as though they had meant no hurt, who accepted of it according to the common decree of the cities, as being desirous to live in peace and suspecting nothing. But when they were gone forth into the deep, they drowned in no less than 200 of them. When Judas heard of these cruelty unto his own countrymen, commanded that were with him, with him to make them ready. And so even in this account, we trust in these politicians and these governors to deliver us. And last but not least, we'll close out with this. Psalms 55:9, destroy, O Lord, and divide their tongues, for I have seen violence and strife in the city. With that, Abba Ratazah Israel's been edified through the spirit and power of Yahweh by Hashem Yahushai.